to welcome to the Rose Theatre after the show and in Studio B, Chantal Kreviazuk. Here she comes, everyone. Hi, Chantal.
I had no idea that we had this date with each other post-show. This is like when you watch, you know, what do they call it, like Oprah after Oprah or something?
Yeah, after the show.
After the show? After the show? Okay, yeah, that's what we're doing. Okay, what's going on? What are we talking about?
Well, actually, the audience is going to have a few questions for you after, but let me just ask a few. Do you think you were born to actually be a musician?
Absolutely. Yeah, because I'm not great at other things, and I'm actually so horrible at other things that I think maybe it makes up for it when I do music.
Now, what do you think one of your greatest life lessons has been?
Humility.
Yeah.
Humility. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. If you don't have gratitude, you're just lost. So, you know, just meeting people and all facets of life is so important. It reminds you of your gratitude and that you are not entitled to anything, you know, and to me pretty much having shelter, food, and you know, the basic necessities of life is an absolute privilege. So things beyond that are, you know, I've seen so many people that don't, you know, get that far. So and yet I've been in, you know, in the middle of Africa and heard people sing that could sing me under a table, you know, or seen art or live performance that was greater than anything I've ever experienced, and yet it was for not very many people, and it was done by somebody who was poverty-stricken. And so I'm so aware that I'm just lucky, and I think that's the most important thing.
Now, what do you think one of the most surprising things has been about your career?
This moment. It's the most surprising thing that's ever happened to me. The most surprising thing is every day that I go out to play music and that people are there and that there's still, you know, there's still an audience. That's always just incredible.
What do you admire about your husband?
I admire his, I mean, he's an incredible talent. He's so, I don't know if people are aware of how phenomenally talented he is, and he's so incredibly humble, you know, the things that he can do that I don't know if people are even aware. I mean, he's a gifted engineer and is self-taught, and that is, you know, he is an amazing observer, and so he can learn things. And when he puts his mind to something, he's just he's somebody that I would aspire to be. And he's also got incredible tact and couth, which I don't. And so I'm his greatest student, or his worst student. And so he's my great teacher on a lot of levels.
Now, you say that through the songwriting process and by making CDs that you're actually always carving out your identity.
Yes.
What's one of the most recent things maybe that you've learned about yourself in that process?
Well, I won't get into details because I'd probably get a call from a lawyer, but I learned recently that even the one thing that I thought could be representative of my identity, which was songwriting. I thought nobody can take away from me that I'm a songwriter. You know, I realized that even that I have to let go of, because even that is ego. And so I realized that there's absolutely nothing that you can claim, because if you're too attached to any part of yourself that you think is rich or, you know, reflects your identity, you're a fool. You know, you cannot hinge your entire self on any one or any amount of things, and you have to be able to feel like at any moment you could walk away from anything that you think defines you, except maybe for your children. you know, or your partner. I mean, that's it.
Okay, let's ask the audience if we have time for maybe 3 questions very quickly. So please.
I saw this hand right away, so I just have to.
Thank you.
I couldn't look away after we locked eyes. It was really bad, you know.
And you know, we're both breastfeeding moms.
There you go. She's full right now. She needs to get home.
Yes, she's 8 months and I'm full. I wanted to ask how you keep your composure, because you had me in tears, and I've seen you 5 times now, and every time you're an amazing entertainer on both levels, music and laughter. You make me laugh very much. How do you keep your composure after telling such tragic stories? Like these little girls, your best friend, and I'm in tears, and then you belt out the tune. Like it's. Well, how do you do that?
You know, it's interesting. I was playing in a room for a little girl not that long ago with Karen. Actually, Karen came over to the hospital with me. I think this was in Windsor, and there was a little girl who'd been in an accident, and she was in a coma. And we went in the room. We were asked would we go in and sing, and Karen played the violin. And the girl had been struck by a vehicle, I think a drunk driver, and she was in a coma. And her mom was at the end of the bed and like rubbing her feet, and she had gotten to a point in her coma where, you know, she was stuck in a lot of the muscular strongholds, you know, and the mom had this, like, you know, energy of just hope and desperation. Hope, you know, first and foremost. And the father was sitting kind of at the end of the bed, and he looked defeated. Like he knew that that was not a coma that his child was going to come out of. And unfortunately, I have had a family member in that kind of a coma, and he didn't come out of that coma. And so I thought the scene was just dark. It was horrible. And we sang All I Can Do. We performed All I Can Do, and it was in the winter, and I had to literally look outside at a spot, you know, on the winter scene, so that I wouldn't cry during the performance, you know. And so there are some moments that they get me no matter what, and I can't do it. And then there are other times when, like for instance in that moment, at that moment, I was a professional singer. I was not there to feel their pain and take it on. I had a job to do for them that was part of my personal, you know, commitment to my connection to the world, and that was what my job was, be a singer and provide, you know, this song. And so that's what I did. And I feel like, you know, there are times when I am so overwhelmed by what happens in the world, and I take it on and I can let it out. And, you know, I've sat with kids with their parents while they're dying, and I have really lost my mind. And then there are other times when it's just not appropriate, and you have a job to do, and that's it. And I mean, think about nurses and doctors and what they do every single day. Like, I don't know how they do that. I mean, those are the true heroes. So, anyway, having said all that, you know, I can't be up there playing a performance for you and then, like, you know, turn into a total blathering idiot and start bawling and, you know, get ushered off the stage to my therapist. I mean, that's just not cool, you know. So I'm a storyteller. I tell stories, and I try to provide something after that story that will leave people with a feeling of grace and hope at an otherwise, you know, incredibly awful reality, you know, that we can't change. In the case of the little girl, strangely enough, she came out of her coma, and I got letters from them that she actually did bounce back, and that was a really amazing life lesson too, because I was not hopeful. The thing that caused me to have to look at the spot on the wall was that in my head she wasn't going to come out of it, and she did. So that was pretty amazing.